2025, which his Minister for Economic Development told the House last week that he had?
The Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I understand that the Minister for Economic Development told the House last week that he was considering such matters.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, I can table if necessary what the Minister for Economic Development said last week. I asked what were the milestones that the Minister said that he had last week in the House. That answer didn't address that question.
Order. I think if I recollect the Minister's answer last week, he told the House he'd be considering the issue of milestones. And in fact, if the member were to look at today's question sheet, one of his own colleagues is asking the Minister for Economic Development how he's got on with his consideration. So I think there's some verification that that's in fact what the Minister said. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Further to the point of order, if I might, Mr Speaker, in answer to the primary question to the Minister for Economic Development last week, does he have targets or milestones to achieve income parity with Australia by 2025, the answer very clearly was yes. And I'm now asking the Prime Minister what those milestones were that his Minister for Economic Development referred to. And I think that the Acting Prime Minister should know that.
The Honourable... is this a point of order?
Am I answering the question?
I invite the Minister. That's very helpful if the Minister would do so. I thank the Minister.
Thank you. On behalf of the Prime Minister, I invite the member to set that down as a question to the Minister for Economic Development.
The Honourable Sir Roger Douglas.
Speaker, my questions to the Prime Minister.
Order.
My question to the Prime Minister.
Order. I apologise to the Honourable Member. Now, look, I cannot hear those asking questions at the back of the House if we have loud interjections across the front. I ask members to respect that. The Honourable Sir Roger Douglas.
Speaker, my question is to the Prime Minister. Why is it important that New Zealand lifts its economic performance? And does he believe the government is on track to achieve its concrete goal of closing the income gap with Australia by 2025? And if so, why?
The Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, yes, it's important to lift New Zealand's economic performance, because that's how we raise the living standards of New Zealanders, improve public services and give people genuine opportunities and choices in their lives. In answer to the second part of the member's question, yes, there's a considerable gap between the incomes of New Zealanders and Australians now, but we think we've made good progress in starting to turn around the economy and taking steps to making it more competitive. Mr Speaker, I've well established today that the constant claims by the Labor Party that the gap has got worse by their own measure is wrong. It is now 29%. It was 37% at one point under them.
The Honourable David Parker.
Could the Minister please tell the House what were the two statistical series provided to him by the Parliamentary Library that he used in answer to the question from Mr Hyde, being the statistical series for Australia wages and the statistical series for New Zealand wages?
The Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I don't have that information with me in the House.
He read that document out. He must have it. He must have it.
Order. I think the question asked from what series was the Minister reading. It seemed to me, and the Minister may care to answer further, it seemed to be a different series altogether, but would the Minister care to confirm that? Because that was what the Minister was asked, was which series was it?
No series.
I invite the Minister to further answer.
Well, Mr Speaker, thank you for your invitation to answer further on behalf of the Prime Minister. What I have said is I do not have the series in front of me. I have the analysis of those series, which is not uncommon when answering questions.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Miller.
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister, or the Minister answering on behalf of us, recently told us that he was quoting from a document from the Parliamentary Library. If that was the case, it will clearly say the series. They always do. They indicate the source of the statistics. Now, either he was telling the truth this time, or he was earlier.
The member will resume his seat. He will not make that kind of allegation. The Minister's told the House that the material he's quoting from is an analysis, a further analysis of those series, and that's where the matter stands. That's what the Minister has told the House, and that's where the matter for now stands. Members can ask further questions about it to elucidate exactly what the information is or what the analysis is, but they cannot question it by way of point of order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Why did he tell the House yesterday that the employment rate in New Zealand is higher than it was in Australia when the statistics show that exactly the opposite is true?
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister, speaking on behalf of the Prime Minister, because he believes that to be the case.
Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, I seek leave to table the statistics I've just referred to, the source being the Australian Bureau of Statistics, June 2010, that shows the employment rate in Australia is higher than it is in New Zealand, in contradiction to the claim by the Prime Minister.
Order. Is the member seeking leave to table a document that I'm not sure how a document from the Australian Bureau of Statistics would show New Zealand unemployment?
Mr Speaker, it's actually the document is compiled from both the Australian Bureau of Statistics, June 2010, and the New Zealand Household Labour Force survey of March 2010.
The source of the document is?
Those are the two sources of the document.
But the document?
But the document I've got is a compilation from the statistics that can be demonstrated from both of those sources.
What I'm trying to establish, leave is being sought to table a document. Who put the document together?
Mr Speaker, the document was put together from the series of statistics I mentioned by my office. Okay. They can be verified.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. The Honourable Trevor Mallard, supplementary question.
Was the document from which the Prime Minister was quoting when replying to Mr Hyde's supplementary a document from the library or a document prepared in his office?
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, as I made clear before, it was a document prepared in my office.
Question. Point of order, the Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr Speaker, in response to your earlier quizzing of the Minister about whether it was an official document and therefore required to be tabled in the House if the Minister uses it during his answer, he said no because it was from the Parliamentary Library, and you said, well, that's not normally considered official advice and so therefore could be accessed by any member. Part of the opposition using extra supplementary questions that we'd intended today has been in direct response to you saying, well, if members aren't happy with the answers, we can probe further with questions. We're trying to elucidate from the Minister what the series is he's been using in his statistics. A library document would show that because they always do. That's clear to all members who use the library, so it's available to members. If it's official advice he's had prepared in his office, that's not easily available to members, and that's what has to be tabled. But either way, this information should be public.
Order. Well, I'll hear the Honourable Drew.
Mr Speaker, the series available from the library, all the stats from the library are available online. What I have is analysis of that online information. There is one sheet here that the Prime Minister did table yesterday, sourced the Prime Minister to the Parliamentary Library. I'm more than happy to table it today. It is condemning of the opposition's argument.
Order. There'll be no more of that. The member is not really raising a valid point of order, I say to the Honourable Darren Hughes, because even if the document is prepared in the Minister's office, it does not, a Minister is not required to table a document prepared to assist them in answering a question. They're only required to table official documents from government departments. As for whether the member seemed to be concerned that the opposition may have had to waste supplementary questions in pursuing an issue, but I'm not sure they were wasted. It was point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
I ask you to reflect on the issue as to whether an official document is no longer official because it comes from the Parliamentary Library. With respect, sir, I would suggest that if an official document, such as a data series, is obtained by a member from the Parliamentary Library, it is a normal way for that source to come forward, and it really remains an official document whether it comes from the Parliamentary Library or direct from a government department. I would ask you to reflect on that.
Order. I don't need to reflect long on that. Official documents are official documents prepared by government departments, and the Parliamentary Library is not a government department, and neither is material prepared in ministers' offices to assist them with answers. That doesn't constitute an official document either.
Well, speaking to the point of order,
I'll hear the Honourable David Parker further.
Sir, it seems to me that whether the data series is photocopied in the library or photocopied in a ministerial office or photocopied in a government department, it remains an official document. It's a data series that the House should have tabled if the Minister is relying upon it. And the way in which it is copied